the Pacific Palisades community is protected. So we have our Deputy Mayor Clark on who can give you more updates. But I'm always here to listen in, take notes, and send that feedback back to our office. So just want to thank you for having me this morning, and I will be listening intently.
Thank you, Marianne, and thank you for all the hard work that you have done in lockstep with the community to make the transition doable and smooth and so far eventless. Arus, anything from the council member's office? Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Miriam. We are still continuing to help the constituents with the trespass authorization forms. I do want to let you know that we have two interns who will be helping me monitoring the form as well, the Google document that we have created, and they have been doing a great job. Thanks to Adam Margin, he has processed over 200 forms for us already, and we're continuing to send those forms to him as well. The community members are very happy to have another visual deterrent posted on their homes, and I hope to see those forms everywhere in Palisades area. Miriam, for the connection, we are communicating with Spectrum, AT&T, and T-Mobile. Currently, we're trying to also communicate with the Rex and Parks area in Palisades to see if their towers can stay a bit longer for more security and for more connection as well. But we'll give you updates when we do. AT&T actually has committed to leave the two towers in Palisades as long as we ask them to, and then they will reach a permanent decision when the undergrounding work with the DWP, the design process, and that work continues. I do want to mention that we are going to have a DWP town hall. Please stay tuned. We will send that information as well. We do need to facilitate a communication between DWP, LAPD, and also with these telecom companies. You know how to reach me, and thank you. And please include me in your future meetings as well.
Thank you so much, Arus, and thank you to the council member for the commitment to bring connectivity to all corners of the Palisades. I know that was important to her, so thank you. Just on an aside, Commander Tom and I were talking this morning, and he mentioned a carrier that had maybe made a commitment to a mobile unit, so mobile connectivity. I know Sue and I had spoken, I think, to AT&T, which had said that they do have recovery response mobile units. So maybe that's something that can come into the Highlands, especially in the hills. But I'll leave it to you, but we appreciate it. And I think connectivity will be important. Also, as to DWP, I want to say, Sue Cole, isn't LADWP coming to PPCC on the
Miriam, I did
Yeah,
speak
there's been a
to
change.
Suko, yeah,
Yeah.
about that. So we actually are working to have more of a consistent City 11 and DWP meetings moving forward. I did ask Sue to host another community meeting instead of DWP. So Bureau of Engineering has a project for the pedestrian walkway, and they will be presenting on the 26th. We would like to host these town halls moving forward with DWP, and I will send you the RSVP links and the town hall information very soon.
Okay, Ruth, do you have a date for that yet? I'm just curious.
It is 90% July 2nd, 5 to 6:30, a 90-minute presentation. And then another one will be conducted in August. And moving forward, DWP will be giving the community more updates. With they will work with our office to give you guys more updates. So this is not going to be, this is a start of a City 11 and DWP town halls, and it will be continuous.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you, because I think we had originally reached out to DWP hoping they would give us an update on the state of the reservoir, the status of the reservoir, since we read that it had been filled and emptied again. And then there's some action happening at the Marquez site, the LADWP Marquez site. We were wondering if they could tell us what that is. And then, of course, there's the undergrounding. So lots of issues on the table for DWP.
Absolutely. And I am creating the agenda, the issues I'm hearing. I am asking the WP to be prepared to respond and present. If you guys have anything, Stu and Miriam, please send them to me.
Sure.
It
And
will be included in the agenda.
Okay,
thank
thank you.
you.
You're welcome.
Yes, and community members also, if you have issues that we have not touched on that have to do with LATWP, send them either to me or to the PPCC or to the council office. Thank you for convening these town halls on an ongoing basis. Thank you. Okay, so Chief Robert Clark, thank you so much for being here. We would love to hear from you. I appreciate that you reached out and made yourself available to the community yet again. I know that the mayor had to quickly change the formation of LAPD here in Pacific Palisades and disband the checkpoints because you were expecting protests over the weekend. I hope they went well. We'll hear from from LAPD in the community. I hope that transition has been smooth, but we'd love to get an update from you from the City Hall point of view, and welcome.
Sure, Mayor. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. And just to make sure that everyone's clear, I'm the Deputy Mayor of Public Safety and not the Chief. Don't have the honor of being the chief, but certainly I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. I would have to share with you and share with all of you. I'm in the middle of my 8th week here in Los Angeles, and I have not seen a more tremendous collaboration of team members, not just from a public safety standpoint, but inside and outside of the mayor's office and across the full spectrum of the services and resources that are needed for the Palisades. I've actually been up there a couple of times myself, so I've had the opportunity to see it and certainly understand what is necessary and needed there. But ultimately, we came to a decision of being able to shift resources because of the protests that we were encountering and needing those resources. And in my opinion, from my chair, it was a very seamless transition. And I think it was seamless, or it appeared seamless to us, only because we literally are talking about the Palisades internally 3 to 4 times a week. And that doesn't even include all the external meetings that we're on, or even the unofficial conversations that we have, really strategizing how we can best serve the Palisades. And I get notifications twice a day, in the morning and at night, at 6 o'clock in the evening, on the deployment in the Palisades, how many resources we have up there, and certainly the crime. If there was an ask that I would have, and I think Deputy Chief Woodyard and others have stressed this as well, is that if things are happening in the Palisades, it is so critical to make sure that they are calling the police, no matter how minor it is or how minor they think it is. Being able to call the police allows us to collect those data points so that when we conduct our analysis, we understand, are we in the right places? Do we have the right footprint? Are we patrolling the right areas and doing all of the right things? And that data helps us to do that. So that is absolutely critical. We took a very strong look at what the footprint would look like come Saturday morning. And I'm happy to report, while we certainly reduced that number, from somewhere in the area of about 170 plus officers with LAPD, CHP, and private security down to 76. Our focus has not waned. Our prioritization of the Palisades has not waned one bit. We continue to be engaged from the chief level through the deputy chief and all of his exceptional personnel in West Bureau and those who are continuing to patrol the Palisades. And we are very data driven. So we are looking at this at least a couple times a day to understand what's happening up there and what we need to do. The other aspect that we're continuing to be engaged in is the recovery. Debris removal still has to take place. Construction is starting to take place. So there are various phases that are happening in the Palisades that is important for public safety and all of our other partners to be aware of, so that we understand what the movements will look like, that there will come points where we will have many more contractors in the Palisades, and that requires us to be engaged differently, monitoring differently, as opposed to just a routine patrol format. So it's important for the communication, and we've had tremendous communication, as I've said, 3 to 4 times a week. We're speaking internally, and 3 to 4 times a week we're speaking externally. So I'm just extremely proud of the partnerships and the leadership and the resources we've been able to provide, and certainly the partnership we have with those who live in the Palisades and who were impacted by the tragic fires in the Palisades. And I just encourage that partnership to be ongoing, and certainly that transparency and communication both ways. And ultimately, if there are questions, there's a list of us that you can contact, from the chief to the deputy chief, his command staff, certainly myself and other members of the mayor's staff who can be contacted, and really bring as quick resolution as we can to the situations that exist, and ultimately just make sure there's good transparency and good communication. Thank you, Mary.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And of course, I know you're the Deputy Mayor, so I'm sorry if I referred to you as Chief, although I'm happy to have the Deputy Chief here too. Just a quick question for you. When you say the community feedback, so first of all, we appreciate that you're open to community feedback. We very much are, and I think we'll have that conversation with LAPD. But the roll calls that are on the streets, are those envisioned as being opportunities for the community to come and give feedback? Is that the reason why the community would be invited? And Deputy Chief, you might want to answer that, but is that an element of feedback?
Yeah,
I would defer that to the deputy chief. Please, deputy chief, go ahead.
perfect. And first and foremost, Ms. Marion Czar, thanks for putting this meeting together. I think this is an opportunity for us to actually have authentic and real conversations, and just making sure that we're all on the same page. And just to be clear, Deputy Mayor Clark has been a longtime mentor, friend of mine for many, many years. So I think we have a unique opportunity to have a communication, not only from the mayor's office, from the city council, and from my chair, and of course, our chief of police, to make sure that the community feels safe, to make sure that they have an opportunity to communicate with us. And I have a great relationship with my partner, Commander John Tom, who has a unique understanding of West LA in particular. And of course, you have an outstanding leader in Captain Gabaldon here. And so I don't want to take up too much energy with my remarks, but I do have Commander John Tom that's really worked intimately with the game plan. But the implementation of this game plan is really going to be by Captain Gabaldon. And I'm confident in the leadership that we have. I'm confident in the game plan that we've put together. It's not just LAPD for this thing to be successful. It's because we're going to collaborate with our contracted security, but more importantly, we're going to make sure that we're engaged with the community in a real way, so that we can have real information. And as Deputy Mayor Clark opened with, we can't move our strategies if you don't tell us about what crimes are occurring. And so if there's something going on in your community, whether it rises to the level of crime, whether it's a trespass, whether it's whatever those issues are, we just want to make sure that we're included in those conversations, and that we are leveraging our resources, and of course, utilizing our ability to reach into the mayor's office, our city council office as well. So with that, I want to push it over to John Tom. In a nutshell, real quick, yes, the stop-in centers are for the community, as far as security personnel, as for us to connect. And so we invite community members to come to those roll calls in the streets. We'd love to have them there. John Tom?
Just want to say thank you, Miriam, and everyone else that was involved in this call, and really just fortunate and honored to be able to support this community. It's been an incredible community. We've gone through so much, and it's our honor to facilitate the safety of everyone. I really want to give a lot of kudos to Captain Gabaldon and his team, but it's also, quite honestly, we've had support all the way up through Chief Woodyard and through Chief McDonald, and the mayor's office. Robert Clark has been instrumental in supporting us through the mayor's office, and obviously up through Karen Bass, or Mayor Karen Bass. The proof is in the pudding, and the reality is that we're asking you to trust us. Things look good right now. We want you to continue to keep an eye on how things are doing. We need to hear the information. We have developed that Palisades at lapd.online email address, which should facilitate passing along information that is not necessarily a crime, but it's kind of a crime tip. We did receive one yesterday about some suspicious activity. that wouldn't necessarily be a crime, but it's information that we pass along to our supervisor and the officers working in the field so that they can be aware of, people loitering in a certain area or someone walking on the fire trail. Those are kind of examples of information that we're getting that's actually useful for us because it can help our officers actually patrol in certain areas at certain times. The last thing I'll say is that there were questions in the chat from yesterday's webinar about fireworks. Are we going to be able to deploy more officers during July 4th? And Captain Gabaldon can talk about the specifics of that. But I know from my time when I was a captain at West LA, one of the problems with the reporting that we get is someone will call in and say, there's fireworks going off over the Asilomar Bluffs. And there's no information about suspect description or the exact location that they believe that the fireworks are being launched from. And so it's a large area and it's very difficult for us to pinpoint that. And oftentimes you might be in a position where you can actually see the people going to a specific area, kind of taking the fireworks out of their car. And that's the kind of information that would be what we call actionable. And so we're looking for you as community members to be our eyes and ears, but to give us information that will help us respond directly to those locations. In this case, because we have so many officers working the Palisades, and we'd never had that before, I think that it will enhance our ability to respond directly to those, to that information and in a more timely manner, just because of the number of officers that are out there. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Captain Gabaldon. I think he's logged on and able to speak.
Yes, he's logged on and he has screen share.
Very clear all along.
Yes, can you hear me, Miriam?
Yes, I can, Captain Gabaldon.
I apologize. I'm also on the police commission meeting. We have a large agenda item number that I have to speak on that as well. So I have to listen to kind of both these calls going on right now. Yeah. So,
hey, Rich, before you get started, Miriam, we kind of taken over the meeting. You're the moderator. I apologize for that.
No, absolutely fine. It's wonderful that you can pass it on to each other, and there's so much information to share. The one thing I was going to ask was just really quickly, you mentioned it, and the deputy mayor mentioned it as well, the commitment to the Palisades. 4th of July is coming around. I'm sure you'll be around through the 4th of July, but is there, and I know that you have contracted private security partners, is there a commitment to keep this formation here for some defined period of time? Through the summer, through the fall? I mean, our recovery will be long, and I think people wonder, is there another change on the horizon, or is this a commitment for months to come?
I can speak to the commitment from West Bureau Operations, West Bureau. The resources that you have in the area are from West Bureau, and so the commitment from us is we're gonna stay in this configuration until further notice, until I have a comfort level, and so there's going to be full transparency. We'll make sure that you're aware of any changes, but right now I don't see any changes it's not mine, but it's our bureau. And with that being said, the commitment is going to be long-term because I'm utilizing my own internal resources. So that 1 to 10 is coming from officers that work Hollywood, West LA, Olympic, Wilshire, and Pacific. So I'm comfortable with making sure that the community knows that we're committed to the Palisades, but more importantly, those resources are coming from officers that know the community.
Okay, great. And then the other issue is, and I know there are a couple of hands up and we're going to hear from Captain Gabaldon, but the other issue really is fireworks. So there are quite a few people in this community who believe that the devastating fire that tore through Pacific Palisades had its roots in a fire that happened days earlier that can be blamed on fireworks. And 4th of July is coming around. And I know that, when we call as community members and give you a wide swath of area where we think the sound of fireworks is coming from, it's not super helpful. But do you have technology that can pick up fireworks, or can drones be deployed when you know to expect that threat? I mean, I think if we hear fireworks, it's going to be trauma for Pacific Palisades. So is there a way to really keep an eye on that using modern technology, maybe heat maps, drones? Now that you have cars, maybe they can monitor the bluffs, but whatever the strategy is, can we make sure that there are no fireworks going off in Pacific Palisades this year?
Well, I would say we can try to make sure there's no fireworks going off in Pacific Palisades this year. I don't know if we can achieve that goal. As far as drones and technology like that, we're not going to have anything available this 4th of July to detect that. So it's going to have to be citizens reporting, private security reporting, officers observing. We do have a large contingency, a robust amount of officers that'll be here on that weekend. We do have our undercover officers that I'm going to be deploying up there, driving around to see these guys, along with some chase cars that can move in and either stop them right away, cite them, or arrest for that, because that's a big concern, especially with the fire hazards going on. So we do have a plan. Obviously, as it gets closer and closer and it starts getting dark, there's simultaneous fireworks going off all over. I'm hoping that doesn't happen in Pacific Palisades just because of what's been going on in the area, and people will be respectful of that. But you never know. If it is something along those lines, it's probably someone from the residents or kids that are up there or back in their houses that are doing that. And those are the ones we're going to be targeting.
Great. So you've got the floor, Captain Gabaldon. You're also co-host if you'd like to share something. And thank you for joining us from the commission meeting.
Oh, yes, I'm listening to both of them right now, so I might have to jump off. But I just want to say, the transition, it's running smoothly. There's always going to be a few hiccups, but I'm confident that we have the resources that we have out there with private security and LAPD. And we're still fortunate enough to have our CHP officers there, although I don't know how much longer they're going to be there for. But as long as we have them, we're going to use them and we're going to take advantage of them. If you have any input, I saw that I'm logged into the email right now, and I see a bunch of emails that we're going to be getting back to. So I'm glad people are getting that information out about how to contact us. Please keep using that. Please contact your senior lead officer. Matt Kirk and I'll put his email out as well up there. He's covering for Brian Espin, who's on a short vacation for the next 2 weeks. So please reach out to him. Brian might forward some emails to us. But, like I said, he's on his own vacation, so it'd be better off if you reach Matt Kirk if you have specific issues that you need dealt with. And also Sgt Alpert, too, is going to be helping out with that area. So that's all I have right now if there's any questions.
Okay, great. Matt Kirk so he's handling Brentwood and Pacific Palisades?
Yes.
Well, Brian's gone. Okay, sounds great. And we'll share his email. All right, I see two questions up. I also want to say Jessica puts in the chat, could we please update the reporting system for non-emergency information? We need a system that's simple and easily accessible. Is that Palisades at online or at lapd.online? Is that what you envision for the quicker reporting for non-emergency?
Well, that's one option, or you can always call to ask LAPD. I know people get frustrated with that because it's a long wait for non-emergency, but I would say that, or I would say if you're in the community and you see an officer, go ahead and flag him down and let him know what's going on if it's non-emergency. That might even be faster as well. We monitor the email, and when we get that information, we'll feed that to the officers that are out there as soon as we can.
Okay, and then that dedicated line that we had mentioned at some point, maybe down at the station, is that not in the offing immediately?
We haven't quite got to that phase yet. I know when we talked about that was when we have this real-time crime center that we're building, that we're going to have something along those lines because it's going to be manned by an officer 24/7. We don't have that right now, but we'll see what we can do if we can work out a plan for that.
And then
I think long-term that'll be good.
Okay, I believe that stop-in station is moving along pretty quickly, potentially secured by the end of this week, and maybe there can be a landline there, or at least a method to reach out to you guys through that location on Sunset. And I don't know if Captain or Commander Tom has an update, but I think there is an update somewhere in there in the emails. There's a question here for all of you, Deputy Mayor, this might be for you. When can we expect to have a detailed after-action report covering LAFD, LAPD, EMD, and LADWP as far as the response to the fires? Is there a detailed after-action report forthcoming?
Yeah, I would share with all of you from my chair. I know there are several after-action reports that we are waiting for, and literally every 2 weeks I'm asking for updates, and I'm assured that those after-action reports are still being compiled and finalized. Deputy Chief Boyer may have some different information, but that's what I'm consistently hearing from a variety of entities, that they are on the way, that they're trying to finalize those reports. So I guess we're all kind of in a holding pattern until those reports are produced.
Chief Wood.
For my chair, that's going to come from the Office of Operations, and of course, got to be approved by our Chief of Police. I'm not aware of a timeline or if it's in the final stages of approval. But once it is approved, then we'll make sure that as much as we can share with the community, of course, we'll push that through.
Okay. And Arus from the council member's office, I know from the council member that she is also pushing for a report. Is that correct?
Miriam, I'm very sorry. I'm in another meeting right now.
Don't
You
worry
can
about
hear.
it. She is. Okay.
Sorry.
I heard from her last week and I know she is. So I know, Arus, you'll share what you find. If there's a report forthcoming, I'm sure you'll share too. Okay. Another question that has come up over and over, this is for LAPD as well as for the council office. What about the state park? We've had 100 cars driving up Paseo Miramar on Sunday alone, looking for parking to go hiking. The hiking trails are still closed, you guys. Is there any way to put up signage or make some sort of deterrent or, I mean, anything that stops people from going up the little hillside roads, parking and trying to access trails that are not yet open? Is there signage that stops people from going to trails when they're not open?
I support.
Marianne, we really don't deal with signage. That's more the city councilwoman, Tracy Park. Her office usually deals with that as far as putting their up. And we can check with them and see if there's any type of, temporary signage or that can be put up there to deter that. We can also get our Department of Transportation involved and see what options we have with that. We'll look into that. I'll talk to Matt Kirk about that. He works the Brentwood area, so he's pretty familiar with other hiking trails and stuff, what they do up there. And maybe we can see what our options are to kind of limit that area.
Okay, I can help chase that. That sounds good.
Miriam, are those about the state parks? I know Julio from our office is communicating with the state parks and making sure that the hiking trails remain closed. In terms of signage, I don't know if the state parks will be able to post any signage, and we can definitely
reach out
and see if that's something they want to do for the state properties. For the city parks, we don't have that issue for sure.
Okay, so Sam Liu from the senator's office is on the call, and so is Samantha Gallegos from the senator's office. So maybe you guys can talk to state parks about signage. In the meantime, Captain Gabaldon, what area of the Palisades is Paseo Miramar? Is that, I know you have 4 areas, whatever area that is, can you tell your officers to be mindful of people parking?
Yes, we'll definitely do that, Miriam.
Is that area 1? I'm going to guess it's
down for false imprisonment.
Yes, sector 1.
Public or counsel about that.
Let's see who is, okay, there we go. Okay, so Catherine, Sam Liu, is there something we can do with state parks? Is there signage or some sort of enforcement so that we don't have hundreds of cars parking in tiny streets trying to reach trails that are still closed?
Yeah, we're happy to reach out to Richard at State Parks and find out, and we'll get you guys an answer.
Okay, so maybe Arus, Captain Gabaldon, and Sam, I can connect you guys and make sure we go down this path.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. All right, questions. Sharon Kilbride.
Yeah, kind of along these kind of lines with, our hillsides now have a lot of fuel. So my question is, we have a lot in MRC, which is Tabasco Canyon Park, state parks, and Rexham Park. So we're working with those 3 entities where we previously had over 200, homeless encampments, which we spent 2 years and multiple fires in those regions. Now, with this LAPD command, are they responsible for making sure that, our unhoused folks don't go in those areas and start setting up camps? Or do we have to rely upon MRC, state parks, and Rexham parks to kind of patrol those areas? Another thing that worked out really well, which Commander Tom instituted a few years ago, is an all-agency hillside task force event, which the homeless task force participated in, where we'd have one day where we deploy, volunteers and all different agencies into those areas, looking into those, encampment sites, which we previously noted. I've been working with the Roos, and we have replaced most of the restricted entry signs that have burned along Pacific Coast Highway in the Via Bluffs. We still haven't gotten into Temescal nor to Palisades Drive to inspect those, but most likely we're going to have to replace all that signage so people know that if they go into those areas, they will be arrested. So I think we need to start thinking about that and try to get a game plan where we either have another all-agency task force maybe in another month when it starts heating up and we're getting more unhoused individuals looking for new places to set up camp. So we do have the beach detail, which is 4 officers that are familiar with these locations, and they do a darn good job. But I just want to make it clear that we really have to have eyes on those fueled hillsides because there's a lot of growth, and that's my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. That's huge. Commander Tom, any chance that there can be another task force soon for the hillsides? And you did mention Matt Kirk, he deals with hillsides too. Maybe there's a way to bring these resources together and have something with Palisades and Brentwood talking about hillsides and protection.
Right. And while I did start those, Captain Gabaldon has been continuing those, and he's doing a great job of that. I think we've all had so much on our plate that we haven't thought about that necessarily right now, but I think that now is the perfect time for us to coordinate another task force, and I'm sure that he and his team can do that.
Yeah, now that everything's back open, I think we're about due. I think the last one we did was in November, so we try to do them at least. We're trying to do them every quarter or at least 3 times a year. So we're definitely due, Sharon. I think that's a good plan. I think when Brian gets back from his vacation, he'll be back in 2 weeks. We'll try to set something up for like maybe mid-July and do the interagency task force like we did last time, the LAPD motorcycle group. And I thought that went pretty well. So let's shoot for July. And we'll get back to you with the date on that.
Sounds great. Do you guys talk to brush clearance? We had Warren Sutton on a call a couple of weeks ago. He was talking about the fact that they're a little bit late on Palisades hillsides, but they're also a little bit less worried about our hillsides because apparently the new brush growth is less fuel intense for fires. But they are going to make their way back around. They're pretty familiar with our hillsides. I think they are trying to interface with the state to get more clearance from state parks. So I don't know if you're in touch with LAPD Brush, but maybe they would be a good partner at the table. Hank Wright.
Thank you very much for all your efforts, Miriam, and all the folks for participating in this. One idea on this signage is kind of like we see in the other cities, where as you go in through the entrances, so that would be Pacific Coast Highway, Sunset, you have a sign, just like you do up in Tahoe, where they say, here's the name of the place where people would hike or go, closed, closed, closed. And as they open up, then you kind of change that. That way you don't have to have signs on every single thing and really interrupt our visual space. But you came through, there's only so many ways to get in, and you were notified. And anyway, I think that might be something else that would allow us to be able to tell people it's not okay. And when it is okay, that they can be able to enjoy their area.
Thank you, Catherine.
Mary? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Hi, I just wanted to clarify my question a little bit. There are signs right now in the state park, and just so you know, they're fire roads and not necessarily a hiking trail. So I just want to make clear that they're hiking on fire roads that need to be accessible. However, there are signs there. It's just hikers don't care. They can pass the signs. They go hiking anyway. And the problem that we're having on our little hillside street with the Army Corps and private debris clearance is the hikers are really impeding the Army Corps being able to do the cleanup. And once we're rebuilding, they will impede the rebuilding process by driving up these narrow, teeny streets where there's no parking. And if they find parking, they potentially take the parking spot away for the contractor or the resident who needs to rebuild their houses because it's very, very limited parking. So what I'm asking is now I would love to have some form of deterrent for the hikers who will not look at signs. They don't care. They have never cared. They didn't care when it was closed during COVID. They will go hiking anyway. So that we in the hillsides, everywhere in Pacific Palisades, and maybe Malibu as well, can rebuild in a safe manner and with access to our lots. And that's my main concern. And I would love to have something be done. I want people to recreate. I love hiking. It's not about that at all. There just needs to be a balance where we can rebuild homes. One home built on our hill is very, very difficult. 30 homes being built on our hill is almost impossible. So I'm asking the city and the state to do something for the residents so that we can do it safely.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. I see in the chat, Commander Tom put in some steps you can take to keep your homes safe, or at least keep them not attractive to would-be intruders. Everybody check out that chat, please. Thank you, Commander Tom. Thank you, Sam, for checking in with state parks. There's a question for homes still standing but unoccupied. What steps can owners take to help LAPD secure the neighborhood besides alarms, lighting, and regular visits? Anything more?
I have something. So there was a question about the use of LAFD drones. So I did reach out to Chief Hing. He's the new, he replaced, I think it was Chief Legal as the West Bureau chief. So the commanding officer of LAFD for West Bureau. And so Chief Hing has indicated that they will have several companies patrolling the Palisades on July 4th. And regarding drones, he's going to request them. He's not sure whether or not they can be used or if they're available, but he's going to look into that. So I'll talk to him about that as well.
Okay, we appreciate it. Not to harp on this, but a couple of months ago, LAPD, you did mention that there is a pilot program for drones, maybe in West LA somewhere. So I was going to say, please keep Pacific Palisades on the short list for that.
Captain Gabaldon can talk about that. He's been really involved in it's called Drone as a First Responder program. There are some limitations though, based on the distance.
Yeah, so our officers are going to be actually the training, our next deployment period in 2 weeks. And then West LA is part of the pilot program. And they're talking about launching 2 different drones up in West LA, one to cover the hillside, and then one from the station to cover more of the area around the freeway and East Century City area. So it's looking good as far as coverage, if that's the plan. I know they went out and they scouted a secondary location. They're talking maybe Fire Station 69, or I forget what the number is, the fire station that's there on Sunset, just outside of Brentwood. Maybe launching from one of those roofs there. So that's part of the plan that they're talking about. I'm optimistic that they're going to get that done and that we will have coverage up there, because that's one of the main areas that we need.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And my question for you, all of you, LAPD, if that stop-in station does work out, is that a place where the private security contractors can also come by, share notes, compare notes, whether they're contracted with you or not? I know you, Commander Tom, you've spoken before about partner private agencies that operate in Pacific Palisades that might not currently be contracted with the mayor's office, but you rely on them. They're a force multiplier for you. They know the community well, and they know LAPD well. Will that be a place where they can also converge?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's not going to be exclusive. I don't envision it that way. Really, this is in Captain Gabaldon's area, but just philosophically, the officers could do roll calls. So when we talk about roll call on the street, that's really meant for the community to have the opportunity to come and talk to the officers, but they still have to do a regular roll call where the officers have a place to respond to. So it certainly could become the place, if we have an address now, where officers, just like we had the command post at Will Rogers, where officers initially respond to, get their assignments, and then leave from. And so that could be a place where security, et cetera, could respond to and do the same roll calls. There's not enough staffing to have a 24-hour presence there. It would not be staffed on a regular basis. It was meant, I think that's why we're calling it a stop-in center, not a substation.
Right.
It was meant as a place where officers could take a break, use the restroom, write reports if they had them. So it would be intermittent use. But certainly if we had a regular time for conducting our roll calls, that would be a place where they could do that.
Okay, thank you. And do any of you know off the top of your head, I can look it up, Matt Kirk's email? Dara's asking. So it's Matt Kirk. He's the SLO for Brentwood, and his email is, I'll look it up. Hank, did you have something to say? Or
Yeah, going back to this drone thing, I think that this is we've seen the power of drones and how they can be on station for a long time. And I also, when I was doing some work up in Mandeville Canyon on that communication infrastructure, I ran into LAFD drone team and all of that. So I think that this is another area where places like the American Legion or something like that can be able to staff these things, because it's just eyes in the sky. And it's so much less expensive than the operational cost of a helicopter or something like that to just be up there. And I appreciate the limitations that we would have in terms of how high you go so you don't impede on a helicopter response or something like that. But I think that this is a very ripe area to keep an overwatch over our area in a very low cost, very effective way.
So Hank, I don't disagree with you. I think the use of drones is a force multiplier. We are constrained by our department policy, right, regarding the use of drones. So we do have drones, but they're not normally used in this capacity. They're utilized currently by our bomb squad, by our SWAT details when they're dealing with an active tactical incident. This drone as a first responder program has not been approved yet. It's something that they are conceptualizing and they're developing policy for, and they're talking to the community about. It still needs to be approved by the police commission and the city council, I believe. But the LAFD already does have drones. And in speaking with Chief Hing, one of the things that he's indicated is that they, per their policy, their drones cannot be used for enforcement purposes. So in the discussion with Chief Hing, what I was describing is that it wouldn't be used for enforcement purposes. What we would be doing is the fire department would be looking for fires. And if they happen to see fireworks being launched from a specific place, if they direct us in, then we will take care of the enforcement aspect of it. So I think that the part of the frustration, just being honest, in the community is, why can't we all get together? Well, we have different constraints and rules and procedures. And ultimately, we're working within, all the rules and the law and trying to appease everyone. But I think that you'll have a better result this year because of all the extra resources, both by the fire department and LAPD.
And I think, going kind of riffing on that, this is where the community can really be able to help from a financial standpoint, because building just a simple infrastructure, it would be such a leverage thing. And it's not, like you say, it's not an enforcement mechanism. It's more of an alerting mechanism, which is completely different.
I agree.
So, and I think that there's a lot more latitude, but I agree with you, this kind of coordination and all that. But this is something that we as a community can be able to do because of the budget constraints associated with the LAFD, and as well as you. Is there, a way that we can be able to provide some of that capital incentive or the capital resources necessary to be able to have, an area and, something that is really going to help rather than hinder? Because that's the worst thing, is when citizens jump in there and they hinder. And that was one of the big problems, obviously, in the response to the fire, of, people going up there putting drones and then having those drones get hit by, the people that are trying to save us. So anyway, I applaud those efforts.
Yeah. It can be an issue. And just to address really quick, Kevin Niles and Jim Craig from the American Legion have been incredible partners in the community, and they are constantly offering to assist LAPD and LAFD and the community. What I would say, because I'm just not knowledgeable on the legality of using drones, but I know that they have licensed, drone pilots that are members of the American Legion. They often offer to, for their resources. What we have to be careful of as an agency is creating a legal agency relationship where we're telling the community to do something that we're not allowed to do. So we're never going to do that. I'm never going to say on the LAPD side, well, we can't use drones, but if you guys use it, then we're not technically using it. So I'm not saying that. But if they legally can fly the drones, and if they, as a community member, are to report information about fireworks, then we're going to respond to that. But I'm not asking for that. LAPD is not going to ask the American Legion to do that. If they can legally fly the drones and they report information, just like if you have a house that overlooks the bluffs and you see a suspect setting off fireworks or setting up to fire fireworks, you would call us, and you would let us know about that information. So that's all I just want to be clear on, is that we're not asking anyone to do that. If you do it and it's legal to do it, then we will use the information.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like neighborhood watch from the sky is what it is. And so I totally agree with you, is that it's not a, that line is very, very important. So anyway, I applaud that effort and I understand the constraints and respect them.
Thank you, Hank. And Hank, I believe, operates the ham radio out of American Legion. Jim Craig, I see you I see you back on video, so I'm going to give you the floor for a second. Jim Craig from the American Legion. And Chief Woodyard, you had your hand up. Did you want to add something?
Just really quickly, I wanted to say thank you for allowing me to be a part of this conversation. I have to go to another meeting. Please invite me to future meetings. I'm here to support. You're in capable hands with Captain Gabaldon. And of course, John Tom is always going to be here. So I just want to let you know we're in full support of any strategies overlaid into the Palisades. We're here to make it safe. And again, thanks for allowing me to be a part of this conversation. And I have to go to another meeting.
Thank you, Chief Woodyard. Thank you for making the time to be here. Also, Commander Tom, I was going to note that you had told me earlier that under Captain Gabaldon's leadership, West LA is down in crime. So you can tell us that before we break. There's some in the chat. Tony Hawking says something about drones. I want him to be able to speak. And Hank, it looks like Commander Tom just gave you his ham radio handle. All right, Jim Craig.
Miriam, thanks. I didn't have anything major. I just wanted to say that, the Legion is exploring different ways our team can support LAPD and security. And we're setting up an LTRG with a team that is discussing that. That's all I had. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Jim. Tony, what you're saying that people are flying drones, and if you hand it, go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's something that has been occurring up in the Highlands. Certainly, when I've been up there for years, there are people flying them privately. Everybody's aware the drone laws in California mean that unless you're a licensed operator, you can't fly out of line of sight. You can't land within 25 yards of people, et cetera, et cetera. But people are still doing it. It's actually interestingly considered trespass as well when you fly over private property. We know that as the Doom tourists come, one of the favorite things on Instagram is a nice sweeping panoramic view of people flying their drones over multiple people's properties. So there's going to be an issue. Santa Monica Mountains shut this down several years ago and prohibited any flight or takeoff apart from by licensed operators. But it does seem if we're going to get into a drone space, we will have private individuals saying any kind of data capture from any kind of drone is prohibited. And that may be something that I'm sure the police specialists and their legal specialists will have to look at carefully. As a community, we'll have to know what the talking points are around that. So I think everybody would love to be, kept abreast of that. That's really all. Thank you, Miriam, and thank you everybody for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Tony. I just want to say a couple of years ago when Potrero Canyon first opened, there was some consternation about what might happen in Potrero Canyon, especially because it's a park that's unmonitored. And the community spoke to LAPD, and by extension, we spoke to the city attorney in her office about whether or not drones could be used to protect Potrero Canyon. Well, it turned out we didn't need to. Potrero Canyon did not end up having the kind of crime or even homelessness that some feared. But the city attorney did say that she would sort of look into how it would be that we could operate drones without being within the line of sight or low enough not to pick up people's backyards or homes or whatever. So my point is that I think the city attorney is open to suggestions, open to interpretations, and I think she understands that there might have to be a balance between security interests and privacy interests for as long as we're protecting unique set of circumstances like the ones we find ourselves in Pacific Palisades right now. So drones sounds like it's going to be a conversation to be continued. Okay, so if there are no other questions, then I will thank you, Deputy Mayor Robert Clark. Thank you, Commander Tom, for being here from Colorado. If you want to say anything.
I have one more thing, and it's just because I'm getting info real time from Chief Hing, and I just want to pass along because they're not on the call. He said that they have a system called the Alert West Wildfire Camera. They have 15 cameras in the immediate area with different levels of coverage. and they utilize AI for spot detection. He said that they also have CERT team members that are going to be staffing those cameras. So they're going to be watching those in real time as they lead up to July 4th and on July 4th. So combined with their patrols and possibly augmented staffing, depending on the weather, they should be well prepared. And he reiterated that the city attorney has informed them that, you know, they cannot cross-contaminate with law enforcement. And so that's the reluctance, right? They have to keep their mission separate from us, which everyone understands. So anyways, I just wanted to pass that along because I know that there's a lot of trepidation about July 4th, but you're going to have a lot of coverage by both LAFD and LAPD. That's all that I have. And, please continue to let us know how we're doing. So I think I was saying that we're asking you to trust us, but trust only goes so far. So as you're monitoring us, if you see the patrols are falling off or we're not deploying what we said we're going to deploy, I need to know that information. Captain Gabaldon needs that information, but I'll be honest with you, he has been really on top of this whole thing, and he's reporting up to us every day about the deployment and their assignments and anyways, I can't say enough about the work that they're all doing. So that's all that I have.
Thank you, Commander Tom. The Alert West wildfire cameras are LAFDs. They're operated by LAFD.
That's correct, and they have their CERT volunteers are monitoring those cameras.
Okay, I'm just going to put that in the chat so that I can memorialize it or remember it. Thank you for getting that real-time information for us. Okay, thank you, Commander Tom. Back to Colorado you go. Thank you again for being here and all the work that went into securing us post checkpoints. Deputy Mayor Robert Clark, thank you for joining us. Anything you want to say in parting?
Yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity for the partnership, and I can't say much more than what has already been shared by the LAPD, other than I watch the numbers twice a day, every single day, and when one falls off, which means when one security officer is not there or doesn't deploy or doesn't show up or whatever the case may be, I assure you that phone calls are made because I want to make sure that we maintain the footprint that we promised. But in coupling with that, we got to make sure that there's communication. Someone asked in the chat, what can we do for residents that still have homes there, but don't live there, but have alarms and have cameras and visit? Nothing replaces communication. So we got to make sure that there's communication. To be quite honest with you, the resident should know the first and last names of all the officers that work up there and the security officers that work up there. They should be exchanging cell phone information and have direct access to the resources that they may need if they don't feel like something is as it should be. And the immediacy of that communication is what makes us most effective, because to get that information 8 hours later or the next shift or the next day is not very helpful, because most of the time those problems will be gone or continue to exist. But if we get that immediate communication, there certainly will be an immediate response, and I'm monitoring that every single day.
Excellent. Thank you. I was actually going to ask if you can share, or Captain Gabaldon, maybe you can share the maps, the 4 sections of the Palisades, and perhaps the lead sergeants, so that we know who to be in touch with. And Deputy Mayor, that's great that level of communication is what you're looking for. The exchange of cell phones, I'm sure that is very comforting to most people. So thank you. Captain Gabaldon, if you're still there, if you're still paying attention. Yeah, let us know if the sections can be shared or if the head sergeants for the 2 shifts can be shared. That would be great. And I think based on emails from the city attorney's office this morning and the mayor's office, I think that substation is going to be up and running by the end of the week. So maybe that's another method of communication.
Yeah, so the sergeants rotate, so we don't really know who they are until like the night before that are coming or the day before. So it's kind of hard to share that information real time. And then, a lot of it's contingent on if one of them's sick or they're not able to come because they have some other training, then we have to get someone last minute. So I can't really share who that is. All I can share is that, Sgt Alpert is kind of spearheading the whole thing. And he's probably the best one to get in contact with via email. And secondary being obviously Slow Espen, and while he's on vacation, Slow Kirk. And as far as the maps, if you're looking for the boundaries, let me check with my boss and see if we're okay with putting those up for each of the sector, so people know. But like the sergeants, the officers are rotating into those positions as well because we're getting them from other divisions within the bureau. So it's not the same ones every time. I know what they're trying to do is when we do get the same ones, keep them in the same sector so they get a familiarity of that area. But the main ones to go to are the West LA ACAR, basic ACAR A1, and the beach detail because they're going to have the most situational knowledge because they're out there every day, the same officers.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much. If you can put the maps out, let us know. We'll have the community get them out. I don't see any other hands up, and it is 10:30, so perfect timing. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you, Gabaldon. Have a great commission meeting, and keep us posted if anything exciting happens. Thank you again.
Will do.
Miriam,
Yes. Hi, Bruce.
do you have a minute
Yes.
to stay on?
Yes,
Thank you.
of course. Thank you all for staying on.